Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Drag Show. My name is Stu Smith, and I'm here with my producer, Steven. And we're going to have a great show tonight with the one and only San Francisco chanteuse, La Monistat.
Hi, Uncle Stu.
How
Hi,
are
Steven.
you?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here today.
You look gorgeous. I mean, that's the hair, the outfit, the makeup. Wow.
One does try, and I'm very happy that I have such. I think you had Jose Guzman Colon earlier on the show, and he actually did this hair. He's been my stylist for quite a while now, and he's been giving me some great tips on how to do drag and. Some of the pieces, like this jacket I made myself, but the hair is very Jose.
Well, that's outstanding. So you also have a club or a thing, and I believe it's called Chaser?
I do Chaser at the End Up every Tuesday night. I like to coin it as the most retarded drag show on earth. It takes cojones to do a Tuesday night show in San Francisco. I mean, we all know the legacy of the Tuesday night drag show, and I'm happy that I've kind of created and built this family of my own through this show, and it's kind of making me a stronger person and a stronger performer and an even better hostess.
Well, your show, I was initially turned on to Chaser by Philo Hagen, who was one of my mentors. And
I love Philo. I actually miss him.
I know. He emailed me this morning and said he's finally all moved in to Los Angeles.
Oh.
We miss you, Philo. Come back.
Please come back. I miss you. My cab rides on Tuesday night.
He absolutely loves Chaser and you.
I would call Philo at about 6:45, and I was like, honey, can you come get me? I need a ride to the club. And, we'd have some chit-chat in the cab rides, and I guess he sees something that I do in the club, and there's potential. Anybody who's doing, like he said, a Tuesday night at the End Up is kind of hard work.
Oh, of course it is. I think everything that you and your community do is really hard work. Right. I mean, just the time that goes into actually makeup and dressing, but then the creative part of it, creating, costume like that,
right?
The time that goes into the makeup, the hair, and then building a show,
right?
Well,
the great thing is I have a great stable of performers who bring it every week. I mean, they constantly amaze me. Last night we had a one-woman show, a one tranny show with my dear friend Honey Mahogany, and she sang live. And I'm not a big fan of live singing, but she floored me. And we get a crop of new girls, and I think there's a resurgence in drag in San Francisco, sort of a renaissance, that everybody wants to be creative because we're all broke and it's a recession, so everybody's trying to do something new and fresh and fun. And, it's always good to have the, abilities of all these queer talent, even straight queer people will come in and have fun. And that's what my club is about. I mean, for me, the drag show is basically just a centerpiece. It's a beautiful, flowery centerpiece, but it's more of an outreach to the transgender community, I think. And that's been my main point with Chaser. It's called Chaser. So,
That's interesting. The focus is the transgender community, or maybe the part of the motive, part of the purpose, part of the message is...
Yeah, for me, when I had this conversation with a friend months ago, before I even started doing Chaser, and I had coffee with him, and I was telling him about it, and I was running off ideas, and I was like, well, I do want a space where transgendered individuals can go and relax and have fun and let their hair down. They can drive in from Modesto or Stockton or Lodi or God knows where and just have a cocktail. Meet some friends. Meet some friends. And I welcome everybody, F to M, M to F, transsexuals, transgendered, and you name it. And the beautiful thing about Chaser is it's kind of built that kind of audience, and they're my core audience. The ladies who are not necessarily drag queens, who are glamorous, and I welcomed them with open arms, and I was like, come enjoy the show, here, have a drink ticket. And that's what I'm about. I want that kind of welcoming environment, because I feel that there's a certain market that needs to be fed, and that's what I'm trying to aim for. And I feel that even homosexuals are very transphobic, and
Yeah,
that's kind of insane.
I agree.
You know, because we're all the same people.
Yeah, it's hard, you know. I mean, but change is occurring slowly, and I don't think it would be occurring without the alleged or so-called drag community. I mean, Stonewall, the Compton riots here, and you know, and the courage. You know, I mean, it's not so much about sexuality as it is about this human expression, this vital expression of courage. You know, like I'm going to be who I am. You know, I remember "To thine own self be true." That was just a big motivator for me, and I'm homophobic as hell, and I was afraid of drag. I was afraid of drag. You know, I can't be associated with that. People will think I'm really bad news, and you know, I have never met more vital, loving, creative people in my life than the drag community that I've been introduced to.
And I think it's also conquering my fear, because when I did first start doing drag, you know, I was kind of fearful of myself. I was kind of fearful of what I was going to be. I didn't know, I was so young. You know, and the gifts that like Tranny Shack, and I guess you're gonna have Anaconda here, who did Charlie Horse for such a long time. It kind of gave me the courage to have my own voice and, you know, stand up for what I believe in certain things. And, you know, and I'm grateful for a lot of that. And that's what has brought me to this point where I can be comfortable and say, listen, this is what my show is about. This is what my party is about. And you can take it or leave it. But, you know, I welcome people who just want to come in, who are not necessarily welcome anywhere else. So
beautiful, wonderful. So how'd you get started?
Oh,
you said you started young.
I started very, very young. There's sometimes you just gotta go into your mother's closet and put on a little skirt and maybe some pearls and, you know, a little of her makeup. But I was very introduced to fashion at a young age. We always had Vogue and all those kind of magazines at home, and I was always very into that. I was always very into looking at Naomi Campbell and Beverly Johnson and, you know, all those beautiful women. And I was like, wow, maybe I can be like this someday. And I am.
And look at you.
Look at me now.
Yeah.
And here's what I am. And, you know, it's always an evolution. I think drag for a lot of people is an evolution. You start out as something and you go through certain phases and you go through certain moments of it. And, like, the older I get, the more I get more comfortable in my own skin. And I'm finally comfortable of saying, like, look at me. I'm a giant fucking cupcake on TV. I'm sorry. I just say that.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.